Welcome to this HRD podcast. We will be speaking today with CEO and founder of Heartstyles, Klemich. Welcome, Stephen.
Hello, how are you today, Sam?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
What do you think is one of the biggest challenges organisations face today?
Well, obviously, every organisation will tell you sales, which is true, but in our field, we get the continuous concern about generational engagement. There's a lot of, as we know, of generational change in the thinking, and organisations are coming to us saying, well, how can we create more engagement? And without using terms and labelling people, but we just for the sake of the conversation, from baby boomers and millennials and Gen Z, how do we create engagement for that younger generations now that's very different to the old baby boomer way of getting engagement? So that is what we see one of the biggest challenges. The other couple of challenges that we see is creating character-led leadership. How do leaders lead with authenticity and from character? And lastly, I suppose we see organisations struggling with how do you actually measure this thing called culture? And they're the things that we're working with organisations with, Sam.
Brilliant. So culture can mean different things to different people. To you, what is culture?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and again, we're doing, organisations are doing a lot to create a work environment where people can work from home and be mobile and create a workspace that's fun, and all of those things are really important. But how we define culture really is whether behaviour is effective and constructive or defensive, and even to the terms of the word toxic. But what we can do is we can spend a lot of time and money rearranging the organisation, doing a new fit out in the organisation, bringing in pool tables and all of those places and all of those things are really helpful. But if the behaviours in the organisation remain defensive and destructive and toxic, well, all of that wears off very quickly. So how we're measuring and defining culture and its true meaning to us is whether behaviour is, as I said, effective or ineffective behaviours, and then all those other perks and all those other things make a fantastic place to work. And having the flexible hours and the flexibility to work from home all adds an incredible amount to having a great work culture and where people are engaged and enjoying coming into the workplace most days.
So, following on, as a business leader, why would you want to change the culture?
I think everybody's realising today that we're trying to retain talent. We're trying to create a workplace, of course, where people are performing well and using their time the best. But we're also wanting to drive results and drive performance and innovate. And it's so competitive out there. Everybody's trying to start up, taking market share. So a high-performing culture, if you're a leader and you've got a great culture, you would expect that engagement and culture drives performance. So can we attract talent? Can we retain talent? People going on the weekends and going out with people saying that we've got a great place to work and we're an organisation that's innovative and captivating to work in. And if you're a big leader and you're not thinking culture these days, well, it's one of those things where you've just got to ask yourself, what is it that's going to attract and retain our talent and make us a very innovative organisation. So leaders that we're talking to are saying this is our problem and how do we help solve that. And I'm sure that there's a lot of other people out there trying to help these leaders, and that's where they're saying, well, that's why I want to look at culture, I want to measure it, and it's going to ultimately drive performance. There is another reason why a leader would want to do that they actually want to develop their people. They believe that the workplace is something where they can develop their people. It's not just about performance, but there's a social responsibility to say that if I can develop my people, if I can send people home and they can be more effective parents and partners, And if I can do that for somebody, and the leaders that are doing this are saying it's the most rewarding part of their work life, that they're driving results. Of course, they've got to get results, and the language of business is money, so they've got to make money. But the most fulfilling part of a leader's career is when they know they're developing their people, and their people character is being developed, their lives are being transformed, and they're sending people back home to become more effective people. And I think if a leader's got that also at the core of their heart, it makes them not just a more effective leader, but builds a heart of care, respect, love, honour, and it builds all of those values into the workplace that are locked up in people. But when leaders catch this, they unlock those values of respect and loyalty and honour within people, and we start to create a workplace that not only drives results and gets the performance that we're looking for, but creates a place that people are being built and people are going home as the more effective people.
That leads us nicely into the next question. How do you change culture?
One person at a time, and organisations don't change, people do. So how you change it, and obviously we're from Heartstyles and we've got a tool. So obviously on this podcast we're going to talk a little bit about our tool, so that we do have a tool that measures effective and ineffective behaviour. So if you can measure it, you can manage it. And if we can take individuals on a journey of life, being able to take them on the Heartstyles journey, each person starts to buy into that process for their personal life, not just for the organisation, but for their personal life. So how we change culture is we develop people and we develop them with a life indicator. And by them being able to do life more effectively, as we said, organisations don't change, people do. And as groups, teams, the whole organisation starts to get this into their DNA, yes, the organisational culture will change. We have a language, we have a framework, we have a tool. And as people do this and see that this tool is to make me a better person and to help me be a better person outside of the workplace, I can then bring that better person into the workplace. And that's how we change culture, one heart at a time, one person at a time, by obviously using something that gives us a framework, a language, and a tool. So I know that's sort of promoting Heartstyles a bit, but that's the thing that people are saying, that how can I do all of this? I've read about it, I read the Harvard Business Review, everyone's talking about culture, but how can I measure and manage it? So that's our approach.
So how do you know if you have a healthy or unhealthy culture?
Well, obviously, our tool does measure that. So these we've had over 46,000 people participate in this. We've got incredible big data, global big data, but if you can measure it, you can manage it. So the idea of this is being able to help an individual, a team, and an organisation measure, get their big data and say, well, if this is what we want, because when you measure, it's like going to the gym. If you want to get fitter, the first thing that they'll do is they'll measure you, and then they'll say, so what are your goals? What do you want to achieve, and how long do you think that's going to take us? So like the fitness industry, we do the same with this. We say, fill out the survey of what you want, fill out the survey in what you've got, and we've got a gap analysis. And then we can start to work towards that. And obviously, if we've got some unhealthy areas, let's examine those unhealthy areas in the culture, and let's start working towards how we can improve that. So it becomes quite analytical. It's interesting that if you've got something that you've measured, it becomes a very analytical process, also a heartfelt process. So sitting beside in parallel, you've got a very analytical, measurable product, and then you've got the opportunity to change people's lives and have their lives transformed from the inside. So that's how you know if you can measure it. And I suppose from a leader's perspective and an individual's perspective, if I do want to get fitter and I do go to the gym and The gym gives me a little bit of bad news and says, okay, a little bit overweight here, and at least you know. And then you can say, well, let's work towards something. And then you start to actually feel good about yourself if you're working towards a goal. So again, that's what we're doing with this tool, and thousands of people across the globe are doing it.
And finally, leaving your imprint, what would you like to be known for?
I suppose what we'd like to be known for is that our tool helps change people's lives. It's interesting, we never set out to use the tool specifically in the corporate sector. What we did is develop the tool to help people. It just so happens that as we've developed this tool, it took us 20 years research to be able to get this tool to the point of it being a statistically valid, reliable instrument. And that sort of 18, 20 years work, we did that just for individuals. But then what we've seen is organisations have said, well, this is the tool that's resonating with the current generations, and this is the tool that's getting into people's hearts, it's getting into their lives, it's helping them with life. It's not a personality profile. There's plenty of those around. This is a life indicator. So what we would like to be known for as a footprint is that we've helped people do life more effectively, both personally and professionally. And in the corporate sector, of course, we'd love to be known for people who have helped create healthy cultures. And in healthy cultures, we've helped our community, we've helped organisations become more successful. So I suppose there's two really footprints there that we'd love to be known to be able to help individuals do life more effectively and help organisations do culture way more effectively than what we've done in the past.
Thank you for joining us today, Stephen.